all phases of the Brotherhood of the White Temple's teachings is illumination. Illumination does not mean that some new organ or object has been acquired or attached to the physical body. Illumination means that the faculties and potentialities of your body and mind and soul unit have been so developed and strengthened by a strenuous course of training that the powers which are innately inherent within you are functioning in a much greater harmony than ever before. That your harmony is sufficient to enable you to be in complete attunement with cosmic consciousness and become one with it. Illumination is that state in which man is consciously aware of his soul, wherein he becomes one with the light and wisdom of his soul. And because of the oneness of all souls, he in time becomes conscious of the whole. Esoteric School of Truth. The Great White Lodge is in truth an actual organized body of living teachers, having in their charge the keeping of the sacred science. Now they live secluded owing to the hostile attitude which for many centuries mankind has shown. I mean, think about what they did to Jesus, bro. The people chose Barabbas, the murderer, over Jesus. So they let the murderer go free, the people, and they crucified Jesus because he was offering a different way to immortal life after death and salvation. And, all the concepts he stood for, they even, the people were so barbaric, they crucified Jesus even. So, okay, now they live secluded owing to the hostile attitudes which for many centuries mankind has shown, but the once whole world knew and honored the way of the initiates. No man rose so high in the state, in philosophy, science, or generalship, that to be admitted to the knowledge of the mysteries was not considered as great an honor as any the world could bestow. So the mysteries did have a place in antiquity. Now the mysteries have ceased to be openly celebrated, but the great centers from which they originally sprang still exist, as they have existed from untold ages. From these centers, age after age, as the world needed guidance, leaders have been sent forth, as far back as the record of our race can carry us. We catch glimpses of the great beings, lawgivers, philosophers, sages, magi's, kings, and priests, all of whom, if we may trust the general outline of history, were in possession of powers and knowledge which have since become lost temporarily to all but the few who know. The ancient sages and the great souls who consecrated their entire lives, generation after generation, to the investigation of the laws of the universe, reside in the Orient and heights of the Himalayas. Working alone in the silence, they transmitted the knowledge which they acquired to trusted disciples only who, starting from the data supplied by these great masters, made many more discoveries and transmitted them in turn. So that today the body of initiates is in possession of knowledge which the generality of man would be incapable of suspecting. Knowledge you have no idea exists, and whose results, if they should be suddenly revealed, would appear to material scientists as miraculous and even as impossible to believe. In this aspect, certainly the sacred science deserves the respectful consideration of all men. Its transcendental truths come to us with authority derived from their own nature and emphasized by their hoary antiquity. The forces to be investigated are stupendous, that only those who have developed themselves spiritually beyond the thrall of envy, jealousy, hatred, and kindred passions can control them without widespread devastation. Not to the first comer will the veil of Isis be at once lifted. Very interesting. Many and arduous are the tests. Many and arduous are the tests, almost insurmountable the obstacles, next to impossible the conditions over which the aspirant is required to triumph. And many years of hard endeavor may be the price which he has to pay for the solution of nature's riddles. But never has an earnest disciple been turned away. To him who knocks at the door it shall be opened, and to him who asketh it shall be given. For many centuries few have knocked at these ancient portals, for the mind of the world has been on wars, conquest, and the lust of wealth. Men have lived in the indulgence of the desires of the flesh and the defense of the physical being. Now, however, with a new era is coming about a new order of things. The soul is weary of striving and useless toil, and again men are knocking and asking of old for the light of truth. In answer to this growing demand, even though it is at present feeble, great masters of esotericism have sent out once again from their midst envoys, teachers with powers to establish schools and centers of instructions in all countries where the cry is heard, so that the hungry may be fed and the aspiring soul may be brought in touch with the divine mysteries. To the true seeker for truth, the message of the great ones will bring life, light, and peace. The recovery of the Emerald Tablets. When Dr. Doriel completed his studies with the great ones of Tibet, he was given specific assignments. One of those was retrieving the lost Emerald Tablets of Thoth-The Atlantean. The tablets had resided in an ancient temple of the sun god in the jungles of Yucatan. Doriel was instructed to recover and return the tablets to the Great Pyramid in Egypt. He carried out this mission successfully in 1925 and was given permission to translate and retain a copy of the wisdom engraved on the tablets. He suffered many trials, hardships, and tribulations in retrieving these great tablets, but the wisdom they contain is a shining light unto the world. Emerald Tablets of Thoth-The Atlantean, the translation of which you, the reader, now hold within this volume, is without a doubt the most stupendous collection of the ancient wisdom available to mankind. Not only is it the one and only actual manuscript of Atlantean origin, but within its pages reside one of the most complete compendiums of ancient wisdom from any age of time. The fact that their origin supersedes the recorded history of civilization, as modern man knows it, attests to its great value. Now, for all time, mankind has access to the greatest mystical truths ever preserved. Doriel, being the master of time and space, has accepted the role of teacher and guru to mankind, not only in this present age, but he has lived that role many, many times down through the past history of man. In the days of Atlantis, Doriel was known as Horlet, the dweller whose story is told in the Emerald Tablets. Horlet, the great teacher of Thoth, receives a prominent place in Thoth's epic autobiographical story of spiritual achievement. Doriel, as Horlet on Atlantis, was the great spiritual teacher not only of Thoth, but to all the Atlanteans. Horlet was the one who taught Thoth the hidden mysteries and guided him into his illumination. It seems almost impossible for many of us today to realize the spiritual magnitude of light and purity of Dr. M. Doriel. So that's basically, it's telling you where the information came from and how he translated it. And, like it says in the book, this book came like during the 20s, and as far as I know, you had to know somebody that knew somebody to even be able to get it. So today, it's sold. It's not sold everywhere, but those who want it can get it generally quickly and fast. So the wisdom is much more available today than it's ever been. Point blank and simple, as we go, as we leave the industrial age and all that behind, and the internet takes off even more. Stuff like this, so it's coming out. I mean, it's gaining more prominence in society. I'm going to take the flap off at this point because it's really irritating when I read. Okay, so getting back, still in the introduction, now there is the teachings of the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood of the White Temple was organized for the sole purpose of spreading the light of truth to a world just emerging from darkness into light. Our struggle today is a condition of chaos, in great part caused by the struggle of consciousness to emerge from the condition of negation and darkness in which it has been submerged for ages. Man is struggling for light and truth, but unable to find it in a world of darkness. He turns upon the world unconsciously and strives to destroy it. The great masters of wisdom, the elder brothers of man, have the mighty purpose and plan of guiding man into the perfect light of truth. For the carrying out of this purpose, they have appointed certain ones to open the pathway to the light of higher spiritual truth. One of these appointed is Doriel, who, under the direction of the elder brothers, formed the Brotherhood as a channel through which knowledge of the divine path of light could be given to the suffering world. Each individual, by developing his own spiritual nature, helps to bring greater light into a world of darkness. It is the purpose of the Brotherhood to instruct all seekers in the way by which they may purify the white temple of their bodies, so that they may be perfect channels of expression for the pure light of the soul, for the pure white light of the soul. Truth is a jewel of an infinite number of facets, with a new face ever turned toward the light. With this understanding of truth, it is easy to see why it is necessary for the student to be instructed by one who has examined all aspects of the jewel of truth as related to man. The Brotherhood teaches that the foundation of all development in the spiritual is through the mastery of the conditions which manifest here in the material world. It teaches the threefold development of body, mind, and soul, for it knows that each supplements the and completes the other. The laws and principles which give us mastery of body, mind, and soul must be understood and used so that we may make ourselves ready to the inner master, for the inner masters to appear. When one masters and balances their inner and outer nature, they become a channel for the inner spiritual light to manifest through. Each one who becomes so Illumine becomes a channel through which the light of the great spiritual sun may shine to bring light into a world of darkness. Doriel, through the Brotherhood, can show you the way to find